Today's talk is entitled The Start of the Mayan Calendar and the Kali Yuga. So, really, nobody has bothered to have a look at what occurred at the start time of these calendars began. So the principle of this talk is to discuss what was occurring on the earth at that time. And the Kali Yuga started 3102, and the Mesoamerican long count calendar of the Mayans started at 3114, which is 12 years later. So we're talking of many thousands of years, and these are synchronized within a period of 12 years. There's also other calendars. There's a Jewish calendar that corresponds with these dates and has these 5,000 cycles as well. So we have to go back and look at what was happening on the earth at that time. And there's an interesting website. It's a Stanford website, and this is just a cut and paste of the image from it, or the image of the text from it. And what they say is this page represents a summary and narrative and links to the geological and paleoclimatology data bearing on the remarkable events of around 3000 BCE, which is now at the start of the Mayan calendar within 100 years, or that 3000 BCE date, when urban technological society began. So society started to form at those times as well. Most of our data comes from reference scientific literature, although there are some studies such as Mesopotamian deltas and certain sea level interpretation which are the authors. And then it will give you links to all these events. Now, unless you're a member of Stanford, you're not going to be able to get access to those things. I tried to click onto the links, but we can be assured that if this is on a Stanford website, then it's going to be realistically, scientifically, and empirically published data to give us a good indication, or best, I suppose, best guess is the right words, because there's a variance in carbon-14 dating. So, they will get plus or minus certain days. So, in this next image, the Stanford site talks about and I'll read this to anyone because obviously it's not going to be a good enough image for people to see. The flood, 3150. Again, 20, 30 years after, and this could be in the tolerance of error anyway, and most of these dates can be within that. Abrupt cooling at higher latitudes, possibly related to oceanic effects, especially in northern Europe, corresponding to the peak of megalithic cultures, probably oscillation in the sea level shortly before 3000 BC, followed by 10 to 15 foot alluvial deposits in the river valleys. If we take any of our river valleys which have been flooding recently, they could be rising. The deposits of sediment that are on our riverbeds now will be rising. So obviously there is climate change there, and there's climate change now. So there's the Great Shock of 3250, which is again within the 100 years of the start of the Mayan calendar or the Yuga or whatever. And again, those dates can vary due to the rate of radioactive carbon decay. And I will do another video on the variations in radioactive carbon decay and how solar minimums can cause a variation to that. But that's for another time. I don't want to go entering into that because it will take us off course. So the Great Shock of 3250. Again, within 100 years of those calendar dates, and after 5,000 years, it's not a bad, it's not a bad margin of error. Many paleoclimate events summarized on the paleoclimate data page. So that's 3,200. A period of stormy weather, 3,250. Sequence of events in the San Francisco Creek history, 3,250. Period corresponds with the polar oscillation in France, 3250. Natural catastrophes during the Bronze Age, 3000. The paleoclimate data, Sierra cooling, 3100. The Gisp ice core, 3100. Sulfating Gisp, 3200. Greenland there's a sulfate spike. Atomic methane, 3200. So there was, and it goes on, methane peaks. That's an interesting one. The Hekla eruption in Iceland. Obviously, we've had that, 3,190. So we've had Iceland. We've had many of these things. In the Americas, Devon Island, 3050, and all these links you can get on if you're a member of Stanford. Hemlock decline. So we've got species decline. Well, we can see that. July summer cooling in the Soviet Union. Our summers have been dreadful. Wooden tracks, diamond ponds, paleoclimate flood, 3,150. So again, you're talking around about the same time. In the Americas, general wetting in the US. So you've got heating, you've got cooling, you've got water, you've got floods in the Netherlands. Belgium coastal events, Brittany coast emerges, and then it goes on to say about the megalithic builders and all the dates of when these megaliths were built. Now, obviously, in some of my other talks, I talk about the Nantaro effect, which is part of this megalithic building. So we're getting a picture of actually what was happening during this period of when the Kali Yuga and the Mayan Kali started. So there's a correlation between the change seen in the climate of the Earth, in the events of the Earth, and the change in the calendars and the yugas. So now I'm going to link the cause of it, or I'm going to tell you the theories based on my research into the Orbar wave and how it is a vehicle for carrying energy and information. But I'm going to give it to you from current science's point of view. Recent publications now suggest that there's a link to cosmic rays and cloud. So we can assume, and I may wrongly assume this, but we can assume that the cosmic rays are creating the nucleus and the spin for hurricanes and precipitation. Now, what they talk about is dust falling in a nucleus for rain, for moisture to form on it, and then it forms. Well, this is a new publication which suggests that cosmic rays are causing are the creative force of clouds. Now, it maybe not, but we've recently had an anticyclone, which is a spinning particle which is spinning in the opposite way to the normal cyclones, and this also could be explained through this process. So a cosmic ray is a ray coming from outside our solar system. So we have to ask ourselves, well, how are these cosmic rays coming in? So, Voyager recently has crossed the magnetic superhighway, and what it is observed in that highway is low charge particles from our sun, so low charge solar particles, are leaving our solar system, and higher charge particles, which are cosmic rays and cosmic dust, probably included in it, are entering our solar system on a magnetic highway of exchange of energy. So our sun's particle is going out and cosmic rays are coming in. So now we have a mechanism that can create this weather. We have a weakened magnetic field which allows more cosmic rays in, and also dust and cosmic matter as well along these highways. And so now we've got a mechanism of why we are seeing this climate change, not people in 4x4s. Quite simply. So we've seen it before. So, where do I think this energy has come from at the start of the Mayan and Kali Yuga? I mean, I'm not going to really talk about the effects on the human condition. I just want to talk about where it came from. Well, it's quite simply the Crab Nebula. What kind of certainty do I have? Well, there's a megalithic stone circle called Nant Taro. Nant Taro, the Bronze Age, the translation from Old Welsh, means the stream from Taurus. Now, the Crab Nebula is the bull. It is a star. It is a nebula now, which formed in the Taurus constellation. So, the nebula was what they class as a supernova. I debate that, but they class it as a high energy event. And the problem with this, or with me saying that the source of this was the Crab Nebula, or the formulation of the supernova, is its distance. Because under conventional linear physics, there is no way for our ancient ants, for the particles to be on Earth at 3000, because nothing, obviously they hold on to this, nothing travels faster than light. So if the Crab Nebula is 4,000 light years away, say, between 4 and 7,000 years, and even that there's a whole video to discuss how that variation, they can't get any more accurate than that. They can tell us the distance of the universe, 13 billion years, but they can't even tell us how far the Crab Nebula is. And that's even closer to measure, because there is evidence that says that their calculations are not right. But anyway, the Crab Nebula occurred at that time. Its parameters are within that time. So why would the effects be felt on Earth? Why would these particles be seen and felt on Earth? Now this is going to take some explaining, and I hopefully that I don't bore people to death, and hopefully that I've got some of my interpretations right. There is a known phenomenon called quantum entanglement. I'll read you this paragraph from Wikipedia. Quantum entanglement occurs when particles such as photons, electrons, molecules as large as buckyballs, which is you need to have a look at that, because that takes you to Buckminster Fuller's work. Even diamonds interact physically when they become separated. So, recent experiments have shown that the transfer occurs at least 10,000 times faster than the speed of light. It does not remove the possibility of it being an instantaneous phenomenon. So, entanglement is a natural occurrence. So you imagine now this star in the Taurus constellation creates two particles. One remains in the star constellation that is going to go supernova, and the other particle streams on those magnetic fields to Earth. So those particles now are streaming to Earth over thousands of years, running to Earth over thousands of years, energy flowing to Earth. Once the supernova occurs, it adds energy to its entangled particle. This is only for the people who are going to say, well, there's no mechanism for this to occur. That entangled particle picks up energy in Taurus. Obviously, that particle can be destroyed by the supernova and transfer its energy instantaneously, or 10,000 times it's faster than the speed of light, to its entangled particle. Thus, we could see these particles that left 5,000 years ago lighting up in the sky. There's also a process of quantum teleportation, which is another mechanism which could mean that that this event occurring 3000 BCE was actually known, could actually be seen through a process of quantum teleportation as well. I'm not going to bore people with it, so why would I say this? Well, what evidence is there? Well, there's plenty of evidence for it. The sacred bull was worshipped, which is obviously the Taurus constellation. It's known as the Taurus constellation. Marduk was in the. It actually talks of it being the solar calf, a new star, a new bright star. So even in the Anuna Elish it's mentioned. Shiva sits on the back of the bull. So the sacred bull survives in the constellation of Taurus. So what happened to this bull? Well, it's I'll just carry on with the Shiva concept first. Now, the Shiva is a destroyer and a transformer. He's depicted as a cosmic dancer. Shiva represents the entire cosmos, and there's also an archer. Now, there's the story of the archer shooting its arrow, being its cosmic particles or cosmic rays into various astronomical bodies and killing them. So Shiva, so my take on this is the Crab Nebula was forming through a supernova. Best language I can use to share it. Shiva came out of the event and destroyed our magnetic field. And our magnetic field has been in decline ever since Shiva came. So Shiva can come and destroy our magnetic field. Shiva can come and transform our magnetic field back to recharging it again. But we lack any understanding of what these ancients were saying. Well, except for the Vatican, of course. Because the Vatican are fully aware of what this effect is. Now, what we have is the killing of the bull, and what we have is a serpent. So we have the serpent, which is the cosmic ray or wave. We have the dog represented in the dog constellation or the dog star. And at the testicles of the bull we have Sagittarius. And it sits outside the Vatican Museum. And now we have to ask ourselves, how did the Roman know about the sacrifice of the bull star or the Crab Nebula? Because they could not have seen the light under conventional physics, which it's taken 5,000 years to get yet. So the light from this Crab Nebula was seen in 1054. It was recorded by Chinese astronomers. But it's obviously that it was these statues come from the 1st century BC. So it was known, and it sits outside the Vatican. Mithras slaying the bull, and I could spend hours and hours talking to you about Mithras, about how the serpent travelled to the earth, how the serpent killed our magnetic field, how Shiva's serpent or whatever, because Shiva's associated with the serpent. But that's not the point of the thing. It's just to say what was happening at the start of the Mayan calendar and the Kali Yuga. And so the rebirth of our sun, I've put a little video I've been on about the Nantaro effect, which is the stream from the bull. And you can go through any of my videos and I talk about about how our magnetic field was sending to decline. I've never used the word Shiva sending it into decline, but these are cosmic rays entering through our weakened magnetic field, and these will in effect recharge our solar system. It's quite simple. So thank you very much for everyone listening. Sorry for the coughing, bit of hay fever. Goodbye.